Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Thank you to coming and joining the another live session. Sorry, I've been talking so much this morning. I've had about four different calls this morning, so my throat is a little bit dry. Welcome to the session about how to stop uh, unhealthy overthinking. How to stop unhealthy overthinking. This is a really important topic because a lot of times, overthinking is what stops us or debilitates us from making progress or moving forward or making decisions. And that's a real problem because, think about it. If you can't make decisions, you can't move forward, then you're debilitated. And overthinking also causes a lot of stress, a lot of fear, and that also then debilitates you because when you overthink, which causes stress and fear, then you're not going to take action. So, this session is about overthinking, how to identify when you're overthinking, and the tools to stop overthinking to help you stop and alleviate that overthinking and to recognize the signs when you are overthinking. So, thank you. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Ava Sanchez. Hi, Star Goddess Ada. Hi, Monica. Hi, Victoria. Thank you for joining this session. So let's clear the energy of the room and then we will get started with this topic of how to stop unhealthy overthinking. Just relax, be in the power of now, and breathe naturally. Thank you. Dear God, angel, spirit guide, send a message, divine creator. Thank you so much for allowing us to create this sacred space on the topic of how to stop unhealthy overthinking to help us move the energy forward, move our life forward, make decisions, and keep moving forward as we go. So, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful, and profound topic that we are going to be engaging and talking about. Thank you so much also for removing any low frequency energies that do not belong in this sacred space so that we may have a session with flow, ease, and to have a productive session where we can have beautiful engagements that is riddled with peace, love, serenity, and compassion. Thank you so much for allowing these messages to come forward and to be delivered to these beautiful souls so that they can stop overthinking and manage their overthinking so that they can move their life forward in a positive and constructive way. Thank you so much for allowing this session to go off without a hitch, with peace, serenity, and flow. And so it is. Okay. If you have any questions about this topic as we go, please ask the questions that you need answered, and I would be happy to do so. Okay, so overthinking is a very debilitating state of being because it brings fear, it brings stress, it brings anxiety, and then you can't make decisions and you're almost debilitated, right? And you just feel so energetically drained, right? When you're overthinking, just completely energetically drained and there's no clarity. And so, one of the signs, these are some of the signs that you're overthinking is you know when you know when that you keep returning to that subject matter over and over again, right? You just keep returning to it over and over again, and you get more and more confused. You return to the topic, but you're more confused. You want to move towards clarity, but you're moving towards confusion, more confusion. That is overthinking. That is one big sign of overthinking. When you're supposed to be moving towards clarity, more clarity, you're moving towards confusion. That's a big, big sign. And you're moving towards more fear, more stress, more anxiety, and more the energy that I'm frozen, I'm debilitated. So anytime you have those signs, excuse me, excuse me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Anytime that you have signs that you're moving more towards confusion, more towards stress, more towards anxiety, more towards debilitation, more towards frozenness, that's a sign that you are overthinking. So be aware of that sign. Be aware of those signs because that's how you have to have an awareness of the overthinking to be able to manage the overthinking, right? You have to first have an awareness of it. If you don't have an awareness, then there's nothing to do. The first thing of any problem is to understand the problem and know the problem and have an awareness of that problem, right? If you don't realize that you're a drug addict, then you're never going to do something about being a drug addict. If you don't have an awareness that you're an alcoholic, then you're never going to do something about the alcoholism. So you've got to be able to recognize that problem first, that you are overthinking. And those are the signs that you are clearly overthinking. So I gave you like the basically the four signs of which direction are you moving in? If you're moving in more the direction of clarity, peace, serenity, then you're not overthinking. That's a good space to move in that direction. So then once you have that, you're moving in that direction, you're like, oh my God, I'm overthinking. You've got to really pause everything. You've got to pause the news that you watch. You got to pause speaking to too many people. You got to pause a lot of things that you're doing that's engaging with either social media or either with news or either with other people or society at large. Because what happens is what's happening is when you're overthinking and then you're getting all this information, it just keeps coming in. It's not going to help you move towards clarity. It's going to make the overthinking even worse, even if it's not in that subject matter. So let's say you're overthinking about a decision to make. Maybe you want to leave your job and you're really confused about leaving that job. You don't know. You're very torn, right? What's happening is if you are watching too much news, too much media, or you're engaging too much with people, even though it might not be the topic of whether you should leave that job or not, you're just overloading your system. That's what it is. You're overloading the system. And when you overload the system, you have no energetic space in your mind or energetic space in your body to be able to make that decision because you need some space to be able to make it, to have clarity to make that decision. But if you're so overloaded with so many other things that's going on in your life, in your family, in your community, in the world, in the country, whatever, you're so overloaded, how are you going to ever be able to have clarity to make that decision? So that means that you've got to get rid of that overload. You've got to have like a palate cleanse. You got to cleanse yourself. You've got to cleanse that palate. So that means that you really don't want to be looking at too much news, too much media, talking to a million people, going to so many parties, having discussions with your family, friends. Like you're just overloaded and you have to stop. You have to unload yourself. You have to unload too much information coming in. And so that is the time to really, really remove yourself from kind of society at large. And we don't mean removing yourself permanently, but remove yourself temporarily. Give yourself maybe half a day. Give yourself maybe 2 hours. Give yourself maybe one day. Or maybe for some people, it might be 3 days or a week. Give yourself that space from society at large so that you're not taking in and absorbing all the white noise. The white noise that you're absorbing is what is going to what is going to really prevent you from unloading all that information so that you can make a decision that you feel has clarity and that you feel confident about. You want clarity and confidence. Those are the two things you want, clarity and confidence. So that's the time to pause and remove yourself. You got to remove yourself from all the white noise. And also remove yourself, especially from toxic people, people that complain a lot, people who play a lot of victim, people who don't really support you. Remove yourself. Make sure you're removing yourself from all those people that don't necessarily understand or have your best interests at heart. And then for those people who do have your best interests at heart, keep the communication minimal. Like, so sometimes you have like a parent, they might have your best interests at heart, but may not be giving you the right advice that is for you. but you don't want to just completely cut them off, but just keep it to a minimum, maybe you talk to them for 5 minutes, not 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Maybe you talk to them for 1 week. I mean, 5 minutes for once a week, not, every single day. Just so that you have that energetic space. That's what you need. You need that energetic space in your mind and in your body and in your soul. You need to create that space. So make sure you remove yourself from all of the white noise from people who don't have your best interests, low frequency people. That's really important because what they contribute to you is just going to confuse you more and it's going to just make you not stop that overthinking. And so that's the key is removing yourself. Okay, hi Ella. Is there a question here? Hello Moon and everyone in the house. It's midnight in our place. Oh, midnight. Good evening. Heidi says, I have found that in myself, being mindful in my awareness, then pausing. Yes. I highly appreciate today's topic. I have been experiencing it this week. Yes, trust me, we've all have experience. Has ADHD and overthinking become reality quick? ADH is the attention deficit disorder. I assume that that's what that is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, I don't have any clinical studies, but I don't know of clinical studies, but I would think that ADHD and overthinking can be related to each other, right? Because it seems like it can be. Because why is your attention deficit so low? Is because you're just getting in too much information, right? Too overloaded. And that's one of the reasons why we have ADHD. I think we all suffer from it from some extent. And when we have too much information, then we're overthinking, even if the information is not related to the topic that we need to solve. For example, I gave you the example of I need to make a decision whether I'm going to leave my job or not, right? And even though all that information, a lot of information is coming in, may not be related to that topic, all that information coming in does not help you make a decision on that topic. So that's the issue. Okay. Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you. Ella says, Moon, why are you speaking like my intuition? Yeah, I think it's because I'm empathic. One of the things that I am, and it's good and it's bad, it's yin and yang, is that I'm very empathic. And so I just pick up on things like out of thin air. Like in my human design, my head and ajna center are completely open. And this is where it's good and it's bad. It's good because I could pick up information if it's out there, but it's bad because I'm bringing in too much information and that causes stress, anxiety, too much. And so meditation is actually good for people like us to cleanse that palate, to cleanse all of that palate. Okay. Heidi says, don't get all caught up in those once week combos. Yeah, yeah, don't get. Okay, Sarah John says, I have to meditate every day, otherwise I become overwhelmed. I have been getting drained from a couple of people. I have had to part company with them. They were zapping my energy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell you, they zap your energy. And with all that information, and a lot of times those people that zap your energy, they love to give their opinions, right? And talk, constantly and give their opinions about, and they think they're right when they may or may not be right. So it is very energy draining. I agree with that. Um, Heidi, overload and then overwhelmed. Okay. Yes, that's right. Overloaded and then overwhelmed. Um, Thank you. Ella Watson says, I commenced a new course. I look forward to mastering AI. I'm also looking forward to monetizing. I have a lot to do and cover and find myself not reading when I'm supposed to. I end up unproductive. Okay. Meditating is a game changer. Yes, I also meditate. It is my daily bread. Yeah, absolutely. It is my daily bread. Daily bread and water. Okay, so the thing that I said was, okay, remove yourself from society. And we're not saying remove yourself from society permanently, remove it from society from the time that amount of time that you need. And for different people and for different situations, it'll be for different times. Some people it'll be maybe just for one day, and for some people it might be for a week, or some people it might be for 3 hours. So remove yourself and really remove yourself, but really spend time doing the things that allow you to come home to your soul, allow you to come home to your higher self, allow you to be connected to spirit and to the divine. What are the things that you're going to do to be able to connect to those things? For some people, it's meditation. For some people, it might be hiking. For some people, it might be sitting by the lake. For some people, it might be swimming. So for some people, it might be running. Everybody finds their connection to the higher self and the divine in different ways. Meditation is not the only way because everybody's uniquely different and all of our human design is uniquely different. So so think about what can I do to help me connect with that part of me that's higher self. What is that? What is that? What can I do? What do I need to do? So that's important to figure that out and to start doing those things. Um, so spend time with yourself and then put yourself in activities, hobbies, uh, tools that will put you and make you connected more to the divine, to the higher self, and to spirit. Because when you are doing those things, you're really calming your energy. And when you calm your energy, that's a palate cleanser. That's an overthinking cleanser. You're trying to cleanse all of that data and all of that information, and you're trying to let it go. So, what are the things that allows you to let go of all of that information? Just let it kind of go like a leaf on a river. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It doesn't mean that you're not going to return to that data, but it means you need a certain time period that allows you to remove yourself from that data and let it just go. And then you can return to it at the right timing. So that's really, really important. Oh, Heidi says there's walking meditation. Yes. I also clean and work in the garden. Absolutely. I have neighbors that they spend hours because they're retired. They spend hours in the garden and that's their meditation. And it's hard work. She told me it's hard work, but she loves it because that's when she connects with her higher self is when she's in that garden doing a lot of gardening. Because she's with nature. And nature always brings you back to your higher self. Nature always brings you back to your soul, right? So that is very true. Um, so walking meditation in your garden is wonderful. I meditate when I clean Lotus Eye Studio. I love that. For some people, it's cleaning. When they're cleaning, that's when they meditate. For some people, it's when they're race car driving. For some people, it's when some people, it's when they do dangerous things like race car driving, race motorcycling. Everybody has a different way of connecting to their higher self. And it's not meditation. Some people, they love to do dangerous things like jump off a cliff, with one of those kites or whatever because when they do those dangerous things, they are forced to be in the power of now. They are forced to meditate. Meditate just really means being in the power of now. And when you are forced to be in the power of now, you're pushing out all of that data that's making you overthink. That's what you got to do is push out that data. And so if you're a race car driver, for instance, and you have to be in the power of now because if you're not in the power of now, you're most likely going to get into a fatal accident. That's why the people that love to do these dangerous things, they love it, and why they continue to do these dangerous things over and over again. Because it forces them to meditate. It forces them to be in the power of now because they can't afford not to be. Otherwise, they may have a fatal accident. And so, what are the things that allow you to be in that power of now? The power of now is where you're really meditating. because the power of now means that you're only focused on this moment and you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about the past, and you're pushing out all of that excess data that you don't need. You're pushing it out and you're staying very present in the now. And that is when you start to release all of that overthinking. The power of now technique is when you really start to release all of that overthinking. So for Lotus Eye Studio, and first of all, Lotus Eye Studio, I love that name. It's when Lotus Eye Studio cleans, because when you're cleaning, probably like you're so in the power of now of what you're cleaning, and you're not thinking about the past. You're thinking about, oh, I'm doing the dishes and I'm putting the dishes here, and that's what you're focused on. Oh, the dishes are going from the sink into the dishwasher. That's where you're focused. That's power of now. And so that could be a meditative state because you're only focused on that. You're not focused on what you're going to do 3 hours from doing the dishes, right? So that's a beautiful meditative state. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions about this situation? Ella says, I think mine is walking. Yes. Walking is also beautiful because also if you get some sun, the vitamin D is so healing. Like if you go walk, and even if it's for 20 minutes, and I always notice that when I go out and I get some sun, I feel more energized because the sun energy is revitalizing my energy. So but if I go to, let's say, the gym and it's indoors and I'm in one of those machines and I'm going like this, I get home and I don't necessarily feel energized. There's something about the sun energy in nature that revitalizes my energy. But when I go to the gym and I'm doing a machine like this, a lot of times I feel just as tired as when I went in. Like it doesn't revitalize my energies because I'm not connected with that nature energy. And so that's personally for me. Now there are lots of people that go to the gym and feel like they're releasing a lot of energy, and that's great. But for me personally, I don't love doing this, going to the gym and using the machines. It doesn't really revitalize my energy. So walking is something that I love to do. Um, Gardening is great. I hope to adopt a plant. Yeah. Yes, Ella, start with one plant and see if you can manage the one plant. You don't have to buy two plants to get one plant, and start with that one plant and see, if you love taking care of it. Because some people, they don't love taking care of indoor plants. And so because it's work, because I have a neighbor who we try to give her an actual live plant for her inside the house, and she wouldn't accept it. And the reason why she didn't accept it is because she says, if I accept this plant, then I have to take care of it. And she's very into her Hinduism, and she's very spiritual, and she knows that this plant is a consciousness, but she felt, because she's older, right? She felt that she couldn't take care of the plant, and she wanted to do good by the plant, so she rejected our house, warming gift, because she says she's not going to be able to take care of it. And I actually respected that a lot because she didn't want to take on something that she knew she couldn't take care of, because she respected the plant as a consciousness living being that should be taken care of. So she rejected it. And it's because she's older. So she physically can't do a lot of stuff around the house anymore because she's much older and frail, and that's the reason. So I really respected that decision. It was the first time that somebody did not take a housewarming gift. And at first I was a little surprised, but then when I thought about it, I said, yeah, I get it. And it makes a lot of sense. And I respect her for rejecting the plant. Okay. Ella says, I agree that there's something about the sun that's special. Heidi says, yes, me too. Love the feeling of the sun being absorbed into my whole being. Yeah, I feel the same way about the moon. Yes, the moon energy is also beautiful. I mean, it's like you go under the moon, right? If you're like in the summer or in the springtime and you're literally under the moon, and you're just laying there and you see the moon and the stars, there's something so special about that. You feel like time has stood still. When I've done stuff like that where I've just sit late under the moon, like during the spring or summer, it feels as if time has stood still. And when time stands still, you have really transcended to a higher consciousness level when time stands still. So it's true about the moon. The moon has this beautiful energy about it that is has a more of a yin energy, right? And the sun has more of a yang energy. And those two energies, when you have them together, is true harmony and balance. You can't have the yin without the yang. You can't have the yang without the yin. And so both energies are very strong, powerful, and very profound. So, yes, thank you for reminding me about the moon energy. Unfortunately, I don't walk at night just for safety reasons. I live in a gated community, so I don't like to walk outside of my gated community at night generally. But sometimes I walk at night, my dog, in the community, and I see the moon, and it's the most beautiful thing. I do my gratitudes on the moon and stars. Goosebumps. I love it. Yes. What a beautiful time to do your gratitude. Think about it. The moon and the sun that always regenerates itself is always there for us, doesn't judge us, and it always broadcasts beautiful energies. Yeah, we should be grateful for that. We should be grateful for how much energy the moon and sun gives off, especially the sun, right? Well, a lot of solar panels, right? All the solar panels that are run by sun energy. And we don't pay for the sun. We don't give money to the sun, right? Think about how grateful we could be for those energies. Wow. Yes. Thank you for reminding me about being grateful. That is so profound. Thank you, Heidi. That is so profound. Um, yeah, thank you, Heidi. That is so profound about the gratefulness, doing gratitude under the moon and the sun energies. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. And what it is this is that as you're interacting with these energies, you feel like you're one and the same. At some point, you're like, I am the moon and the moon is me. I am the sun and the sun is me. I am the mountain is me. I am the ocean is me. Right? Why? Because we all come from that one source. Everything in this planet, in this universe, comes from that source energy. So we are not apart from the moon. We are not apart from the sun. We are not apart from the ocean. We're not apart from the mountains, right? Because everything comes from that source energy. So how can we be apart from anything? And we're not apart from each other. And that's why when you help somebody else, you're really helping yourself. And then when somebody else helps you, they're helping themselves because we are really one and the same. Now, don't confuse that. Don't confuse that help with helping somebody that's not helping themselves, where you're being taken advantage of. You don't want to confuse yourself. You want to set a healthy boundary, right? You don't want to just be helping people endlessly and there's no reciprocation. That's not healthy energy. You have to do a healthy energy of exchange. So you want to reciprocate, you want to give, and then you want to at some point get back. And so you want that yin and yang energies to go back and forth, the ebb and flow to go back and forth. So when you help others, you're helping yourself. When somebody's helping you, they're helping themselves. Hi, Core 111. Hi, Core 1. Oh, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate it. I don't expect it, but I appreciate it. I've always claimed to be a moon child. I was born the day the US landed on the moon back in 1960. Heidi, girl, we are both 69ers. Wow. You were born, the US landed on the moon? That was July, what? July something, 1969. What, July 13th? God, you are in my club. You are Club 69. I am April 69. Wow. Club 69, girl. Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool that you were, I was born in April 69, so it was before, I was born in Seoul, Korea, and it was before the man landed on the moon. So I always say my mother knew, like my mother, when she named us, my name is Moon. I have a late sister named Sun, S-U-N. I always say we're the yin and yang. It was so synchronistic that, the first man landed on the moon in 69, and my name is Moon, right? Isn't that synchronistic? And the yin and yang symbol is like the 69, right? The yin yang symbol is the 69. So it's all synchronistically, divinely ordered. I always say that. Wow, we are the same generation, girl. Oh, July 19th. Wow, July 19th, 1969. That is so cool. And so yeah, you would be my husband's a Cancer. My husband's a Cancer. Wow, that's so cool. No, I was born in April 69. Um, so I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. I was born at the end of April, so I'm Taurus. Wow. Hi, Felipe. How are you? Ella asks, do you sometimes experience seasons of unproductivity? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes the seasons, it depends on what the energy is with the energies of the astrology and the moons and the stars, right? And sometimes that energy just lends itself to less productivity, more lethargic, more things not moving, flow. It's just more halt, pause, right? So definitely, you will go through those times, and it's ebb and flow, and and the fact that you could recognize during the time when you're like, you know what, this is a time when it's unproductive. Let me not be so harsh on myself. Let me not put so much pressure on myself during these times. Let me allow myself to, come home to my soul, connect with the divine and spirit more, and when I come out of this, I will be more productive. So don't be so hard on yourself during those times, okay? Ella, allow it to happen and allow it to move through, because yes, it is all about the ebb and flow, yin yang. Okay, you can't always have flow, 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 flow. You're gonna have ebbs. And so you want to see those rhythms. And sometimes it could be also, if you're a woman and you get periods, there are times where, like, the moon cycle has a period, and menstruation is very aligned with the cycles of the moon, right? And so there are times if you have menstruation going on, and I don't have menstruation, but I remember when there's certain times in that cycle where I was just so lethargic and I was unproductive. And I could recognize those times. Cora one says, how cool where you were born in Seoul. So cool. Yeah. Seoul, Korea. That's where I was born. Seoul. But it's so funny. Again, that was a synchronicity. That's where I was born. I was born in Korea, but I was raised in the US. So yeah, I was born in Seoul, Korea. It's very cool. I know. Seoul. Can you believe that? Very cool. Oh, thank you, Cora. One more 999 donation. Thank you so much. That's generous of you. I appreciate it. Philippa Ramirez says, Gemini here. I wish I knew a little bit more on the subject, but I love listening. Well, there's so many ways to learn about astrology. Obviously Gemini is more Western astrology, not Eastern West astrology, but I love Western astrology. I think all of the astrology systems has its validity, the I Ching also, I Ching, Western Vedic, um, you know, the chakra system, beautiful, even Native American shamans, everybody has like sort of their systems in place, and they all have buckets of wisdom in those systems because they're all kind of measuring energy, right? All of those systems are measuring energy and putting it into a system that they call the I Ching, or the system they call Western astrology, or the system they call Vedic astrology, right? It's all systems by observing energetic patterns. That's what it is. Gemini is best energy, but a little overkill sometimes. I would say, for me, all the and I'm glad that you think Gemini is the best energy, and I honor that. I think every energy is special in its own way. It's all oranges and apples for me. There's not one energy that is better than the other, my personal opinion. But I love the fact that you have a strong opinion about Gemini energy. And I love the Geminis. I've known many Geminis, and I think they're great communicators. They're kind of people who have one foot in, one foot out. And so I love Geminis. They're beautiful, beautiful people. Um, okay, Heidi says, that is so cool, Moon. Love that. And try for sharing. Yes. Okay, Ella Watson says, how do I achieve my goals faster, or how can I deal with this urgency? Okay. How do I achieve my goals faster? I think the way to achieve goals faster is to be in alignment with you and alignment with the universal forces. Why? Why is that important? Because when you're aligned with you, your energetic blueprint, and the alignment of the universal forces, it's like you're going down the river, right? You're not trying to go up the river. Every time you're trying to go up the river, what happens? You're like, you're expending a lot of energy, but you're not getting anywhere, right? So, so you want things to have flow so things could manifest. You're at the right place at the right time. You're meeting the right people. You're always at the right situation. You're getting parking lots every time you go to a crowded parking lot, right? Everything's happening for you. And that flow happens when you're not trying to force too much, force something that you're not, or force situations or manipulate control situations. When there's too much force, there's no flow. Force is like trying to swim against the river, and you're using a lot of energy and you're not getting where. Whereas if you just let go of your arms and you let the river take you exactly where it goes, then it will. You just go like this. So anytime that you have too much resistant energy is when things are not happening. So the powerful manifestors are people that truly align their inner world, their thoughts and their feelings with the desired outcome. That's how you're in flow. So anytime you're speaking to yourself that's against that, you're creating resistance. So align yourself, your thoughts and your emotions with that desired outcome, and really feel it in every cell. You have to really feel it because everything happens in the power of now. So really feel that. Feel that. So that's how you get manifest faster, is align yourself, align yourself, align yourself. And then the universal forces will meet you where you're at. So that's how you leverage the power of the universe, is once you align yourself and not have that resistant energy of that which future that you desire, then because the universe is always inclusive, it's going to show you everything that's matched to that alignment that you already have, right? So now you're leveraging the power of the universal forces, okay? So that's the fastest way. And so oftentimes what's happening is people are saying things against their highest and best good. They're always saying something to themselves that do not align with their future. So they're always saying something like, whatever it might be, they might say, oh, I'm not good enough. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have this. I don't. They're always saying something to go against that. And when you say things internal to go against that, you're creating that resistance. It's like you're trying to swim against the river and you want to be flowing. You want to let go and flow with the river. Okay, so align yourself. That's what it is. That's the fastest way. And say, I align myself. I trust in the infinite power and wisdom of the universe. Keep reminding yourself, I trust in the infinite power and wisdom of the universe. Yes, be the vibrational frequency you want to attract, manifest like you already have it. Absolutely. That's right. Because everything is in the power of now. The universal force is not reading the future, it's reading the energy now. It's not reading the past, it's reading the now. So the now, so think about how much power you have, because you can change your energetic vibrational frequency in the now. You're not going to change it in the future. You're going to change it in the now, right? Everything happens in the now. There's only ever the now. There's really no future or the past. That's a lower consciousness, time, space, reality construct. But once your soul leaves this time, space, reality, there's only ever the now. That's why your soul is eternal, because it only ever exists in the now, which is eternal. So that's why it's in the now that you have to do it. Yeah, it's in the now, the now, the now, the now. You're aligning yourself in the now, aligning yourself in the now. That's why it's such a practice that you have to be aware. Am I aligning myself or am I not? What am I saying to myself? How do I feel? What am I saying? How do I feel? Does my feeling and my thoughts align with that future or it doesn't? Okay, so um yes, Ella, yes, please. It takes practice. I'm telling you, it takes practice. It takes practice. So the more you practice it, the more you'll see better results. And you can give testimony. Please give us testimony. Yes, Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. But all these master gurus understand the power of now. The power is always in the now. It's never in the future or the past. Okay, so does anybody have any other issues about, so I told you about the four signs of overthinking. The sign is if you're getting more, if you're moving towards more confusion, if you're moving towards more fear, if you're moving towards more stress, if you're moving towards more feeling debilitated or frozen, you're overthinking. So how do you stop that? You remove yourself from society in the duration of time that you need to remove yourself. And then you do the things that connect you to your divinity, connect you to your higher self, connect you to spirit, connected to the divine. Because then that is a way to cleanse all of that data, because it's all that data that's here that's confusing you. It's overthinking is too much data. And you have to remove yourself so that you're not watching all that news. You're not hearing all the stuff from white noise society because a lot of white noise is going to happen. So you want to remove yourself and do the things that really connect you with your higher self. And for different people, it's going to be different things. Some people, it's going to be meditation. Some people, it might be hiking. Some people, it might be swimming. Some people, it might be just sitting by the lake, you know, in nature. Some people it might be race car driving, you know, anything that can like anything that puts you in the power of now meditative state. Some people it might be hang gliding, right? So for different people it'll be different things and give yourself the time that you need to start to cleanse out all of that data. And then once you start cleansing it out, then you will start to bring in the peace and calm. And then once you start bringing peace and calm, that's when you start to have clarity and clarity to make the right decision that you feel confident about. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. So if there's nothing else, we can close the room. Hi, Joan. That's so sweet. Thank you so much for the donation. It's not necessary, but that is so sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So if we don't have another question, let's close out the room. And I will be here next week, so I'll do it. And then the following week, I'm gonna be in Tennessee pretty much all week. So I'm gonna try to do a live session while I'm in Tennessee at my in my hotel room because I'm gonna be there for a health tech conference. Not next week, but the week after, and I'll try to do a live session in my in my hotel room. Okay. So thank you so much. So let's do a closing prayer. Dear God, angel, spirit guides, and masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to open the sacred space. Thank you so much for allowing us to talk about this topic of how to stop unhealthy overthinking, how to get back to our divine self, our higher consciousness level, and align ourselves with our future. Thank you so much for allowing us to engage with these beautiful souls. And I ask you to please continue to protect and guide these beautiful souls who are trying to manifest their highest level of potential and expression of who they really are. So thank you for your continued support, your continued guidance, your continued wisdoms, your continued protections, and most importantly, your unconditional love. And so it is. Namaste.